Welcome to Trapping Ain't Dead, another day, another dollar peep game. It's your boy Munch, man. I'm here with Janae,
Hey,
Phil, V.
Hey, Munch. Yo, this is an interesting ass night.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you two on the podcast with us. I just want to have a real ass conversation about our reaction to the election tonight as we're watching it unfold before our very eyes.
Yeah.
It's some fuck shit.
And just our next steps and give people some hope.
Can we start with the good news?
Yeah,
Get
it, V.
Good.
So we're excited to announce that Amendment 4 was passed in the state of Florida.
Whoop.
That means that 1.6 million people will get their rights back to vote.
Yep.
A lot of work that really paid off. We surpassed the necessary number so that it can pass.
Blue passed it.
Right.
Yep.
And you know, we did it from grassroots. It wasn't like owned by no institution. It was actually the people. And I'm just so happy to see it. Shout out to Desmond Meade and his family.
Yes.
Yeah, boy.
And all of these beautiful people across the state, like Devin Coleman, Jody Polk, and all these individuals throughout the state, Zulu and Miles. Like, they've been representing for years.
Yep.
And we made it, y'all. We made it. So
Congratulations.
yes, thank you. Thank you for everybody. Like, it's a lot of people out there. People don't even know we did this work who gonna benefit from that.
Yep.
And that's even more amazing, like a silent blessing to people. So I'm just so excited. I'm on a high. Like, I feel good just knowing that tomorrow we can make a huge change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely was a highlight of the night, and I had that in mind to see
Yeah.
that pass. And I went into the voting booth today with that in mind.
Yeah.
And voting for those people and just making sure that they are part of the process next time. Phil, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you say? Like some of the highs for tonight? Like, we could start on a high note.
I mean, I got a lot of highs for the whole year. Like what we built in this infrastructure to be able to move something like Amendment 4, to create the opportunity for us to elect the first black governor. We mobilized every part of the Votron for this year. You know what I'm saying? And I know if we had had that 1.4 million, we would have been already having a party right now. So that's what the Republicans know. They know when we bring the culture, when we bring people, when we bring reverends, when we bring motherfucking Diddy, that we actually have a considerable amount of political and cultural economic power in the state. And that's why 200 years ago they decided that once you get a felony you can't vote, and then started handing out felonies like free lunch passes. And so we have that back now, and I always knew whether Gillum won or not, I was gonna go home, still be a nigga. I was still gonna be poor. So now that's 100% certain. And we just got work to do. We've been taking L's for a little while, but today we won a big thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm still excited. I'm hurt. I'm salty. We teach classes at a prison, and they was hype. And so that's gonna be a weird thing to go back and tell them, yo, the clemency board is still all Republican.
Exactly.
The governor is maybe worse than Rick Scott.
Right.
But 2020 vision is what we're looking at. We're looking at 2 years when we're going to have the opportunity to transform Florida once again with those 1.4 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Munch.
I don't know. I'm kind of like in the middle. You know what I mean? Cause it's one of those things like, fuck, bruh. Like, now I gotta hear the I told you, Munch. The fucking vote don't mean shit. And the news just came in that Ron the fuck nigga DeSantis just fucking won. Get some bullshit.
Yep. Ron DeSantis is
God
Ron
damn it.
DeSantis has won.
He done won.
Yo, I'm trying to.
Listen.
I'm trying to cry right now. Real shit.
All I can hear is all my dogs at the trap saying, I told you, Munch.
Yep.
I told you.
Yep.
And it's just like one of those things like, fuck, dog. Like, it's not so much that you want the system to work. It's just that you understand how important that vote is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like fucking Martin Luther King sitting in his grave like, these fuck niggas and got us again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Malcolm X like, bitch, we got to grab the bullet now. Fuck
Yeah.
it. We keep losing. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
But this was never, and look, I'm hurt right now. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not feeling great. But this was never our goal. All
Yeah.
the work we've been doing wasn't for
True.
this, you know.
Yeah.
So we took this is a loss. We need to sit with that,
Yeah.
accept the loss. But people greater than us have lost before,
True. True.
and people with more organization and more infrastructure than us have lost before. And we just gotta work through that.
Yeah.
We don't have no other choice.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Really
saying?
don't.
That's just what it is. We're gonna have to take what we're gonna have to do is take the L. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
People probably already texting, like, talking to me crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what you take when you decide to get in the game.
Yeah.
It's true. Phil, what do you, because right now, like, we're literally, like, live in this shit. Like, what do you tell these people who don't vote? Like, to me, I just feel like it's, like, another, like, uphill battle now trying to get these motherfuckers to realize, like, how important it is to get out and vote. I'm happy for Amendment 4 passing. We'll have more people in the voting body, but, like, what do you say to somebody who, like, look what the fuck, we came out and look what happened? Like, what do you say?
But for me, it's not what we say from here, it's what we do. We've
Yeah.
been saying a lot. And to be honest, we only started talking to motherfuckers about Gillum like 3 months ago, 4 months
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Real shit.
Like talking their ear off about Gillum since like March, April, May, maybe. But really June it started popping with the debate
Yeah.
down here.
Yeah.
So what we do for the next 2 years is build an infrastructure. Build a real infrastructure. Like we really continue to organize, and we've been organizing.
Yeah.
It's not like we could really say, oh, we lost because we didn't do enough.
Yeah. This
Like,
ain't one of
that's
them.
true.
I don't feel like that.
Yeah.
I feel
And it
like it's
wasn't
one of
an ass
those.
kicking, like, you know,
Yeah.
the dog stayed enough.
Yeah, he stayed in the paint. I think it's just one of those things. Like, it's one of
Right.
those like, how many of y'all gonna gear up for the next time we got to do this?
Yeah.
You know, or when this is over. That's why it was so important for me to have this episode, because I was like, Republicans got a plan B, even if they won, they lost, or however it was gonna roll. And I just felt like we build up every time. We kind of shoot ourselves in the foot because we build up to the race or to that big moment, but then it's nothing afterwards. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, what do we do now, you know, to make it right?
Yeah.
You know, and
Yep.
and to keep people understanding, like, hey, we take this L, but what are the next steps?
Can I talk about something real practical too?
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like I've been
go
talking
ahead.
a lot.
That's fine.
Can I
You're doing okay,
say
my
something real
brother.
practical too? You look at that map of Florida, and it was like Miami, Broward, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, Tallahassee was blue, and the rest of the state was red.
Yeah.
And so we got to start figuring out how we get to Polk, how we get to Collier, how we start getting in there with like some of these towns where we got to realize once you drive through Florida, like niggas is low key scared to go vote.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
still back in the day.
Over
And
there,
so,
yeah.
you know, let them have, you know, let the Democrats do Orlando and we start fucking with Eatonville, Sanford.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And we go to
Ocala.
we go to Ocala, Apalachicola. Right.
Yeah, all them little, what I call the chitlin circuit.
Yes.
You know, if you notice all the
Yes.
since this is a hip hop
Yeah.
podcast,
Two egg.
Yeah.
yeah, since this,
Bradenton, shit.
yeah, since this is a
Sarasota.
hip hop podcast,
Yeah.
we need to go to, like, you know how all the local rappers, when they tell you you need to
Yes.
get on the road,
That's what they
like,
do.
talking about rhyming them, they was hitting like these little small hick towns.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We got to start pushing them in them small hick towns. Like,
The
hey, this
chitlin
is
circuit
Bro, this
Yeah.
is what I'm talking
The
to somebody
chitlin
about
circuit, yeah.
now. I have it on paper right now. I said we need to start hitting all the cities that Boosie hit.
yeah,
Fuck New
yeah.
Orleans, go to Shreveport and Baton Rouge.
Exactly.
Go to Gary, Indiana. Go to
Uh-huh.
Newark. Let them have New York, Chicago. Let them have Miami, low key. Let them have Miami. Yeah, Wazoo.
Mm-hmm.
But this for real. That's where Boosie go. That's where Lil Baby Gunner. That's where all of them go. That's
Yep.
where Kevin Gates go.
Yep.
He like, fuck it. I'm gonna go to motherfucking. I'm
and
gonna
them
be
boys
in.
eat in
Yeah.
those smaller towns because
Yes.
they come. And the thing is, somebody said this to me earlier in the week about how like just by Gillum, he did hit a lot of these, like, tried to hit a lot of these small towns, and they was like, he came to Ocala or he came to Palaca. They was, you know what I'm saying? And it was a big thing. But it's like, my thing is we got to start educating too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the issues. You know what I mean? You know.
And we gotta be there, like
Yeah,
you said.
yeah.
We gotta be there for the next 2-3 years, we got to build the infrastructure, and we got to let them know that we could do. It's what we do, not what we say from here on out,
Yeah.
man. Because they not gonna believe what we say no more. I think this was probably the last time we gonna be able to say some stuff.
So I understand, this is your last day
Yes.
as the official. What's the title? Co-director of the Dream Defenders.
Yep.
So,
Wow.
what does this mean now? What's next for Phil?
Everything we talking about now. I want to get in the cultural thing. I want to be. Honestly, bro, I just want to be a better person.
Yeah.
Like a better friend, better brother, better family member.
Yeah.
I just put all my life into this.
Yeah.
And I don't really got. Well, I got a lot to show for it, but I'm not done. And I don't talk to my mom.
Yeah.
If my brothers wasn't in the WhatsApp group, I don't know if I'd be talking to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I
Take
just
a
be
lot
a
of
better
time from
friend.
it.
I just
Yeah.
want to I just want to chill. I never took a break in 33 years. I never took a break. I know probably none of us have. I worked all through elementary school. I got my first job at 12, 13, a real job. I was working with my dad before. Every summer had a job. Every summer in college had a job. Worked during the summer in between high school. Graduated from FAM on a Saturday. Drove on Sunday. Started work on Monday. I never had a break, so I don't
been
even really
running.
know what's next.
So that kind of prompted you stepping away, so to speak.
Well, yeah, and then we got people that's ready. The bigger thing is that we got Rachel and Jonelle, who are Super
been there
Saiyan
for a minute,
Jonelle.
yeah.
Jonelle been there since the beginning.
Since the beginning, and Rachel's,
Yeah, so
It's
they're
the
ready.
shit.
They're ready, and I'm tired.
two
Feel
women.
you.
Yeah,
2 women.
yep.
Ivy.
And they better. I mean, I'm not just saying it. They just better. They just see the things. They just see the things better.
Yeah.
And so, man, that's the real. I want to give some time to just become this next level person I'm supposed to become.
Yeah.
I feel that. And, just learning your story, like, it makes sense. Because you see it from the outside, and you're like, you see everything being propelled, and I'm like, what would cause cause you to step away from it, so to speak.
Yeah.
So but that makes perfect sense. To me.
Yep. And I thought we was gonna win today.
Nigga.
Yeah, that was gonna be great.
Yeah.
You would have went out with a bang, huh? But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like, and I wanted to, a little bit elaborate, and I'm breathing hard because I just ran from one end of the building to the next, but just to sit up here and hear, it's just rough, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, like, it's still a marathon. This ain't no goddamn sprint. And we just gotta go back in it. You know what I mean? Go back to the drawing board and say, what are we gonna do? How do we build on what, I don't take it as a complete L like everybody.
Yeah.
It's just that we have to do more. Hindsight is always 20/20. We can say, hey, celebrities and educating people. I think, sitting there talking, having conversations with a lot of my homies, they really weren't educated on the issues, but we knew Gillum. You know what I mean? And that's the same for other races. A lot we sensationalize a lot, but I think at the same time we got to do a lot of education. And I think moving forward, if we could have that education model throughout, up until that 2020 vision, so we could have 2020 vision beforehand instead of in hindsight, because it just seems like we're all philosophers and we all have these great ideas after the fact, about what coulda, shoulda happened, and yeah, man, it's just fucked up.
I mean, with Amendment 4 passing, and we'll now have a little bit more of a fighting chance.
Yeah.
With those people now voting.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing that's keeping me optimistic tonight. And we just got to be real about the country we live in, and racism being a real ass thing, and voter suppression, and keeping us, out of the conversation and out of doing things.
Yeah.
Like, that's real
Yeah.
as fuck. The mere fact that millions of people didn't have a right to vote just until we passed the shit tonight is like, let's think about that, y'all.
Yeah, and this vote, and the thing is, this race as well as the last race, if I'm not mistaken, was decided on the same premise, less than 100,000 votes.
I know, it's so close.
So the thing in Florida is now this is In the words of Desmond Meade, this the frying pan. We done flipped it and made it omelet now, so we good. You know what I mean? We got the ups for a little minute. You know, we got to look at the upside of it, and the upside is we got 1.6 million new voters, but now we got to question those 1.6 million. Like, convert them. We need y'all to vote.
Yeah, we need y'all
You know what I mean?
engaged. And we need y'all to
Engaged.
vote.
And I don't know.
It was too close. That's why I was like, even just seeing the number, how close it was. I was like, damn, just imagine if those people had their right to vote. Like,
Exactly.
would it be what
Exactly.
it is?
Dwight,
Mr. Bullard, I don't know if you're going to. We have Mr. Dwight Bullard joining us. we lost Phillip of V. They had to step
V
out,
had to
but
step
we're
out.
so happy to have
Yeah.
Mr. Bullard join our conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of give us some marching orders and some hope and some
Well,
wisdom.
well, as much was talking about the brothers, especially those impacted by by disenfranchisement. Now the opportunity is there for them to get their rights back. The silver lining, if there is one that comes out of the governor's race, is that it was lost by less than 10% of those most impacted. Right. So
Yeah.
you're talking about. If you register 1.4 million people and just 10%, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
look at tonight. Tonight was about a 52% turnout statewide.
Yeah.
Wow.
And imagine if you do 52% of 1.4 million or
Yeah.
30% of 1.4 million, and they all break the way they need to break. You got a different outcome tonight. So
Yeah.
kind of projecting forward, thinking about a presidential race that was similar.
Yeah. Same thing. Yeah.
Though you have every reason to make a difference. So. Wow. So I'm hopeful, That's all
Yeah.
you can sort of be in
Yeah.
moments like this where you have a mixed bag of emotions. But
Yeah.
you just have to remain hopeful that that positivity will ultimately win out. You know what I mean? Like 2 years from now, Democrats took back the House of Representatives. So
Yeah.
some of the things that people most feared Trump will be capable of kind of get held up.
Yeah.
At least for the next 2 years. And so it's important to look at the bright spots
Yeah.
over the course of the night.
What are you feeling right now? Can you share with us like your thoughts and what you're feeling right now?
Well, definitely disappointment. Mayor Gillum is a friend. We go back over 20 years to our days at A&M, and I feel for him right now in the sense that he really ran hard, right?
Yeah.
And
Fucking
touched
hard.
touch spaces, touch communities that just hadn't been touched. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like, when's the last time that Liberty City can say that a gubernatorial candidate
Came.
not only came there, but came there multiple times?
Yeah.
That you had,
Yeah.
that you had local folks who said, I'm going to paint murals,
Exactly.
in this space about this brother. You know what I mean? Like, so he is the kind of candidate that I think people can get behind, no doubt. And of course, people are going to say, well, tee it up for another 4 years from now, give it another run. But what I feel, most sorry for, unfortunately, is us as Floridians, as human beings, just because people don't fully appreciate the impact of politics. They don't really appreciate kind of the consequence of elections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now Florida's in a tough spot. There was a number of ridiculous amendments that passed. Amendment 4 was a definite plus, but
Yeah.
there was some dangerous language now that's in our Constitution.
Yeah.
And so I hope folks understand that they need to organize.
Yeah.
That when you're sitting there scratching your head about why this isn't happening, or why minimum wage isn't going up,
Yeah.
or why the school system is struggling.
You need to get involved.
These are elections have consequences, and folks, and unfortunately, people who are going to listen to this podcast are some of the folks who just decided to sit at home.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And for y'all out there, listen. I still love you as a person. I want to understand why. As New Florida majority, we want to get to the
why, to the bottom of
why,
it.
right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what is it? Like, what has to happen, or what needs to happen, or what do people need to be saying to kind of get you to jump up and
jump up
take
and
this
vote.
thing seriously? So.
Yeah, I had a friend that literally was online, and he was like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck y'all voting for. And I was like, bruh, I'm like, democracy demands that we participate in it. We gotta, like, it only works for people who a part of the process, and it was like, okay, now I'm gonna go vote. Or I had homies that was telling me like, because you've been going hard on this vote shit, bruh, and you didn't, I'm gonna go vote today. And it was like, okay, that's a good thing, but I need you to understand why. Don't do it for me, because at the end of the day, it's like I said, that's the education factor. It's like, you know, when we look at these amendments, we would, the black, white, I don't care what community it was, we were all kind of like hung jury on them shits.
Hell yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, like literally, like you got, you know, because some people like were favorable, you know, between this different language that was in there, and it's just like we got to get down to the point where we having the conversation as it's getting moved into these bills, and like right now it just makes me like hopeful, mainly because I got Peace in the Hood coming January, and I'm like, okay, we got it. Like, no, this is why I'm doing it, and this is why we have to do it, because people need to know this conversation, not when the election comes, but way before. Like, you need to be in the conversation, and I don't know, man. I'm just like up in the air about a lot of things, but I'm still optimistic in the sense of like, yeah, like it gotta change. I still believe in, you know, the voting. You know, no matter how many times we lose, I can still say I voted. My vote damn near counted. It showed counted, regardless of how you think it did. That was one less that went to the other side. You know, when I look at like I said, the amendments, 1.6 people gonna be able to vote now. That changes things. So we did get some type of change, you know, and like I said, like I've been telling all my homies, man, I went to the Connect today, like literally, and I was like, bro, I'm so stressed out. Like I was just stressed, like dealing with anxiety, and I was like, bruh, did y'all, I'm like, I called the Connect and was like, did y'all vote? They was like, I was like, but I need a dub though. And they was like, yeah, much, we fucking voted. We fucking voted. And I was like, thank you, man. You know what I mean? Because they knew, and they knew the importance of going to the corner store and telling them brothers, like, you ain't gonna wait for, you know, we ain't gonna go through this long ass process with these crackers and wait for them to he signed, like his name, like your will or your future is in his hands, in these people's hands. It's like now, you know, sitting there talking to me like, yeah, we could do that. Yes, on phone. They went, and I seen them literally grabbing parents, you know what I'm saying? Grandmothers calling their grandchildren to make sure they voted. Grandchildren making sure they call their grandparents to make sure they voted. So I think we all put out our maximum effort. I think it's just a matter of we just got to go the extra mile, you know, and I think that's just been a struggle of black folk, you know what I mean? Like, we've always, you know, in some way, shape, or form, met at these crossroads. We still in some way overcome, and
no doubt for black folks, man. This is our story, brother. You know what I'm saying? We've seen worse times than this.
Exactly.
So you know, we gonna be all right, as they say, right?
We shall overcome.
But I mean, what I need the brothers listening to understand though is, like, the same way we get serious about who wins the state championship, you know what I'm saying? Like, like we really get excited because we know somebody from Day is about to represent. And
exactly.
The battle internally in between Central and the West, and Carroll
City,
all these, you know, all these different folks who's, you know, trying to lay claim to the title, we get excited about that idea, right?
Yeah.
And I need folks out there to understand, like, that is Florida. Like, Florida is the state that the rest of the country is looking for.
At. Yeah.
Florida's in that top 3.
Every time.
Number 1, you know what I'm saying?
Every
in terms
time.
of making a defining statement about what it is that we take more seriously. So I need people to, you know, the same way you take pride in your hood, the same way you take pride in your school, in your community, by how you go hard. You know, towners will be like towners for life. You know what I'm saying? Like that's Florida. You know what I mean? And we, you know, when we say we, I'm talking about Dade and Broward. Like the election could have been won
literally
in just those 2 counties.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Because Broward have like the largest.
I mean, the turnout was still better than normal, but not as much as it could have been, right? So at the end of it, you're probably going to have about 52, 53% of each county.
Means half the people didn't vote.
That means 40-something percent out there just sitting at home like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what's wild to me, right? Is like people who are going to be most affected by this are going to wake up tomorrow morning to a new governor-elect who's the same as the old one, if not worse.
If not worse,
Right? If not worse. And it's like, oh, snap, I was supposed to. Was that yesterday? You know, it's like there's still people going to do that. 2 weeks early voting, vote by mail, all the money it puts out, all the commercials, that someone's literally going to wake up tomorrow morning like, you know what? I should have.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
what's
get them
up.
next time.
Yeah, and it's like, man, you know, when I think of, it's just that my thing is, how do we bring these issues right to their face and get them to understand? Like, you know what I mean? That's always the thing. Like, how do I explain to you, like, this shit makes sense? Like, you know what I mean? Because politics, I think a large part of it, I think, starts in school, right? We're not taught that process. So, you know, if you can you explain, I guess, like the legislative sessions and how that kind of work a little bit moving forward?
Yeah, I could do that, but I do want to, you know, before I forget this point, though, man, you know, we talk about politics kind of being part of the, you know, civic education being involved in schools, but schools are literally politics.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, people got to get that.
Yeah.
And get that through your head. Like, for the parents with their children in schools, that's literally politics.
Yeah.
You know, when you're sitting here wondering why your child doesn't have a music class
Yeah.
or an art class,
Yeah.
that's politics.
Yeah.
You know, when you're trying to figure out why you down in West Homestead and the road in front of West Homestead Elementary School is still jacked up, but they're building new charter schools down the street that look plush,
Yeah.
that's politics. They're not doing that
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
You know, for the parents who live in the projects that right across
Exactly.
the street, they're not building a charter school for you.
Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? They're trying to keep you out of there. They're trying
Yeah.
to keep you in the school with the raggedy road.
Don't think
And
because
so,
you're getting a voucher, it's something different.
But to the point, right? So the state legislature controls school funding. The state legislature controls how colleges are funded, how hospitals are funded, how roads get built, how much you get charged for SunPass comes through the state legislature.
Yeah.
You know, how much FP&L charges you comes through the state legislature. You know, like your water bill, if you've seen that going up, if whether or not the beach is going to be open tomorrow because you got red tide coming down.
Exactly.
All these things are political. All these things come through state legislature, the governor, and if somebody is basically telling you, you know, is that saying that if somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have somebody, it's like you got voters out there that are like, in spite of what he said, in spite of monkey it up,
Yeah.
in spite of, you know, you knowing full well that he's hanging out with racists. You said just the mere fact that the other guy is black supersedes the fact that I'm allowing somebody who literally had neo-Nazis working on his campaign.
Literally.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
so it's that kind of thing. And I'm not trying to sit there and say that, but remember, dude never denied it.
He never, and that's the thing you
know
gotta
what I'm
sit there
saying?
and look at. Like, he just was like,
Yeah, he was
"You gonna
shocked and
expose
appalled.
me? Like, you gonna expose me like that?"
You know what I'm saying? At no point in the debate he was like, that is completely
Yeah.
wrong and false
No,
statement.
no.
And guess what? The statement was not even proven false when Mayor Gillum pointed it out. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
those kind of things. And so for people out there, again, who did vote for this dude, like I ran into a lady in the supermarket today who was giving me grief for wearing a Gillum shirt, talking about, well, why are they get mad when people wear Make America Great Again hats and no one gets mad at you? And I'm sitting there like, that's your thing, right? Like, of all the things in the world, right? That's your thing.
You know what I mean?
You know
you
what I
worried
mean?
about
And so
what
you-
shirt I wear.
Right, you voting for this dude because you mad you can't wear a hat. That's your bag right there. So when your lights literally get cut off,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying, and you go show your Republican registration card and they like, sorry,
They don't give a fuck about.
you know,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
we ain't dealing with that right
And
now.
that's what I feel like we gotta start doing, and start literally having a conversation where we're saying, all right, let's put the party bullshit aside, and let's really talk about the issues. You know what I mean?
But poor white people vote against their own interests. Like,
But I think poor white folk, like, and this is my thing, I don't believe that all poor white folk, even though we know they'll vote against their interests, they not educated on it. I think if we have that conversation, things will start to change and stop, you know, because I think we get caught up in the party shit so much
Yeah,
that
I
we
agree.
don't talk about the issues. Like, just think about it, how much of the issues was spoken about.
True.
It was more of the polarizing side of things. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we over here, we over there. Like,
And to that point, I think not only do we need more educated voters, but what's wild is how many votes were cast before the first debate. So you're talking about people who literally had no idea who this other dude was.
Exactly.
Had already voted for him just because, I'm a Republican, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, so, there definitely has to be heightened levels of education. People really want to get involved, but definitely, again, I want to emphasize for the listeners who just don't do it. Like, you got a voter registration card, but you choose not to vote. I literally need to know the reason why. And it's not from a place of judgment. It's from a how can we get you to move to a place where you're comfortable, where you feel comfortable, where you are decided that I'm going to pay homage, because there's too many brothers and sisters that are in their final resting place behind this issue. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like bombs in their homes. Yeah. People killed. My own mom had a death threat against her when she tried to, have the audacity to be a black woman trying to run, in this space, right? On her kids, like me. You know what I'm saying? Like the reason she had to stop running in a race one time was because people had threatened our lives. You know what I mean? Like, yet she still went back and did it. And yet we have people, who should know better that are choosing not to, and then other people who should know better choosing to make decisions based on I don't know what. And that's what I want to talk. For those DeSantis voters out there. Yeah. Like, let's talk about it. What was the thing that swayed you? Like, did you believe it was going to be Venezuela? Did you believe, or was it just pure old-fashioned anti-blackness?
I think, and this is going from the interesting articles that had come out about the big folk, like Anna Navarro and the rest of them. She said, I voted, I did the mail vote. I put Gillum on the paper and I held it for a couple more days to see if DeSantis would pull through, and I just vote red. And I'm like, well, why you just vote red, damn it? Like, if it made sense, and he still ain't make sense out of this shit, like why? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is it so hard? Like, my thing is, if somebody on the other side talked about real issues and was talking about a real way to fix them, then I may consider. I'm not so stuck on, I'm gonna vote blue every time. You know what I mean? So why is it that y'all just gotta vote red? Like, just got to. Go ahead. We got Fran come up here.
Introduce her full name.
So Francesca Menes. I gotta say your name the right way. I call her Fran because that's my friend.
I know. I didn't want to just say Fran to be all informal.
You know what I mean?
Hey, Fran, thank you for joining us.
I'm like, my voice is still. I'm trying to recover.
Girl, we all are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, first I was gonna say to that is just like, common sense ain't that common, unfortunately. True. And so we kind of saw that, with this, with the results. I mean, I literally got the numbers. I keep staring at them, hoping that they're gonna change. Because it's just like, again, like what Dwight was saying, it's just like, what made you vote the way that you did? Yeah. Like, what is it that motivated you and moved you when this man literally was making a mockery of the process? Yeah. You can't even ask him a question without him having a temper tantrum. Like that, those little things alone should show you the quality of leadership or the lack of leadership that he has, where he doesn't even know how to act diplomatic in certain settings. And so this is now Trumpish. The person that we have as our governor.
It's like the dude, the fishing commercial when he was like, and he just throw the line out. He's like, you gotta be quicker than that. Like, that's what happens in Florida. Like, it's like, you fraudulent ass state. Like,
all the work that was done. I'm like, what was it? 1.6 million doors that were knocked. Most of us barely been sleeping for the past month or so and doing the work. And so it's like, what is it that we have to do for you to understand that you need to value yourself, that you need to value your family, you need to value your community, and just like even just looking at the amendments and the fact that people just voted up and down the ballot, on almost all of the amendments except for number 1. And I'm like, again, do you understand the impact of these amendments and the position you've now put the state in? Exactly. Supermajority to increase taxes. So now when we start having problems around funding around education, when we can't fix our roads, when we can't maintain clean water, quality water, y'all ain't got no reason to complain. Because y'all basically put us in this position, and I don't want to sound mean about it, but it's just like I'm frustrated, and I continue to be frustrated because it's like, what do we have to say to you for you to engage? People are like, I don't want to engage in the process. I don't like politics, and I'm like, If you don't like politics, then you don't like yourself. Because everything that we do, everything that we live, the air that we breathe is politics. You cannot separate it because you don't like the conversations that are happening. Are you engaged in those conversations?
Yeah.
Because you have no right to complain if you're not involved.
Yeah. Exactly.
How much do you guys think religion plays into it? Because my mom posted that she voted for Gillum, and a black guy came on there and said, I can't vote for him because of, he said something about abortion and some other things that religious people say. And I'm like, bruh, you're poor. Like, what the fuck, dog? Like,
yes.
Are you not looking, is that because of, like that one thing stop a Christian from voting for a Democrat? And I'm like, but everything else dramatically affects you. Like, I remember when Bush was running for president, and my pastor, I won't even say the church because it's a big church down here in Miami, he got our church to vote for Bush.
Right.
Because of the stem cell shit. Yeah. And I was like,
Again, it's like
how
it
much
goes
y'all
back
think
to
that played
common
into
sense
it?
ain't
it's just
common.
like, no, I mean, I know it played at least like, like I'm Haitian Dominican American. And so I basically spent the past 2 weeks being on Haitian radio up and
1,000
down.
Haitian radio
Yeah, I'm like, I
shows.
can't even, I know I lost
you was in
count.
the
Like,
circuit,
it was
yeah.
like Haitian radio,
Every day.
Haitian TV from here to Orlando, and we would get those calling questions of like, well, what is Andrew Gillum's position on the gays? And I'm like,
Exactly.
I'm like, what do they have to do with you?
Right.
A man loving a man, a woman loving, what does that have to do with you when you coming home and you looking at your bills and you don't know what bill you're going to be able to pay? What does that have to, why don't we talk
Or you
about
got a cousin facing deportation.
Exactly.
You know
Really.
what I'm saying?
Really. It's like, what does that have to do with you as opposed to focusing on the things that you're living on a day to day and you're probably struggling day to
And why
day?
does that weigh more?
That's what you bring up the notion of religion, and the reality is statistically, churches are losing members daily, right? But people kind of hold true to these weird edicts around like a handful of issues, and here's what you're going to run into, folks, because the last time this happened, and the thing about history is history always repeats itself.
Yeah.
So the last time you had a situation where you needed to find a defined message for the other party was Bill Clinton in '92 running on a tough on crime platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, for the black community, if you waiting on that candidate to show up for the Dems to vote for, somebody who's, anti-immigrant or runs on some sort of Trumpian issue to try and win over that part of the electorate, what does that do for our communities?
Yeah.
When someone comes and says, well, we need more police, or we need less police accountability,
Uncle Luke.
or we need, you know what I'm saying? Or we
Fuck
need,
it, I'ma say it.
we need less participation in economic development, or
Chapman ain't dead.
That shit pissed me off, and I swear to God, I'm not saying that to disrespect the OG. Like, I just want to have a conversation because I didn't see him go as hard as he, and somebody said this to me. I didn't see Luke go hard for Gillum like he went for Levine. I didn't see him
that part,
and and then
How many national, other artists outside of the state that had to come in the state?
yeah,
I watched the concert last night. He could have been there.
He could have been there, And my thing is, I'm gonna say this because I'm not.
You
know,
want to
people,
say pay for
people,
play.
yeah, people saying you getting paid, boss, and that go back the way back when you was with, when we can go to MIA documentary, '96. When the police came in, I mean, I've been. It's just been a couple of things that it just don't sit with me, and I'm like, why? Like, you talked about the Haitian community and Dominican community and some of the small issues. Like, it just don't make no sense. Like, and like you said, like, does being gay? Like, I understand everybody has their values, but Malcolm X said, dog, when a man doing his personal business, dog, personal time, ain't none of my business, dog. Like, I ain't got nothing to do with that. He's a human being just like I'm a human being. I gotta respect that. And why we can't get to a level where we can kind of see past some of this little small shit and be like, look, the bigger issue is, bro, we'll all be homeless and on the street, and it don't matter.
Gay,
like,
straight, white, black, all us together, just assed out. Do we have to do a side-by-side comparison, like, or say, does this mean more to you than this? Like, I don't know what to do at this point.
Like, I'm trying to figure out how somebody, like, basically somebody looks you in your face and be like, I'm about to call you nigga. You okay with that? Because I just want to let you know that I also believe life begins at conception. So which one's more important to you?
Exactly.
Because that's basically what you're saying. And last time I checked, to paraphrase Mayor Gillum, I'm a die black, right?
Yeah.
I've been black. I'm gonna be black. I'm a die black.
Yeah.
And there's ramifications that this country still hasn't reconciled in relation to that. But you're gonna let a woman's body, a woman's reproductive health.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even yours, because the people be mad, be like 67-year-old black men who's sitting there mad, like, your lady is not producing no more kids.
At all.
This is not an issue for your household at all. For the many Haitian pastors I know who's sitting there, you over 50, your wife over 50, and you convinced there ain't no gay people in your church and that none of your parishioners that had abortion. Like, this is what I heard one dude tell me. He's just like, I know all my parishioners.
Is this the same church that said they call his what's the name? Want him to call him daddy?
Hey, I don't know. That could be a totally another church with the exact same principles. But I mean, I know he being like, we're trying to find like a Jovi moment, but that's serious business right there.
Yeah.
Like, I always, like, in my heart, I'm still reconciling that for some people, pure racism gets trumped.
Yeah.
By what two other people do on their own time.
Yeah.
Or what a woman does with her body. Mm-hmm. Like, that's wild to me, because, you know what I'm saying?
That has nothing
they just
to do
continue
with
to vote
you.
against their own interests. I mean, it's the same example we always give with poor whites. I'm like, okay, you in the same boat as us, but you continue to vote against your own interests. I mean, I don't know.
So, Fran, can you give us an idea of the work that you do? Because I know you do a lot of dope shit. And but I really want you to kind of like explain to the people, because I
my life.
Yeah, your life.
So I work for the Center for Popular Democracy and Local Progress. So it's a progressive network of local elected officials. So I'm basically going to be fishing out all of the progressives that just won tonight. Like, shout out to Joshua Simmons, because he's definitely going to be one of my members. Matthew Pike is already a Local Progress member, but now he's mayor.
Amen.
And so basically we cultivate them, we support them, policy, research, communications, building their agenda and putting it forward. But I wear many hats. The other one is the treasurer of the Florida Democratic Party. So basically watch them coins and how the party spends it. And the state committee woman from Miami-Dade County. So my life is very political centered.
And don't forget, because I'm always one of the people, when you go out and you
I'm
do
looking
your
at
thing.
your eyes. You're looking like, what you about to drop?
I know you dropped some new stuff on us, because I didn't know you was moving like that. You was like bossing it like that. I know you was a boss, but it's something about community strategies or something like that you work on?
Oh, my company.
Yeah, talk about it. Fuck all that other shit you trying to plug.
I launched.
Traffic ain't dead, nigga.
So I launched my Community Strategies LLC. That was like back in November last year, so it's 1 year old.
Congrats.
Thank you. And so what I do is basically develop curriculums. I work with community organizations, community groups. It could be churches, whatever group want to gather and understand how do they advocate for themselves, how do they learn how to use their own voices to basically push their agendas. And so I do trainings around like Advocacy 101. It's like, how do you tell your story in a meaningful way that can capture whether it's your elected official or another ally that you're trying to build with, but also do like political consultancy. So, if somebody wants to talk to me about their campaigns, I could sit down with you and be like, this ain't realistic. You maybe need to think about something. I'm like the truth giver, because I'm just like, you need to be realistic about what you can and can't do.
This is why she don't never have these combos with me.
And fundraising and a bunch of other stuff. So, and a lot of it came out because when I was a candidate back in 2016, the experience that I went through, many people like asked me if I'm going to run for office again, and I'm like learning more and more. It's better to be on the outside. This one stepped out for a reason, because it's like you actually learn more and more that your hands are a little bit tied when you're inside, and so you need those people to be on the outside to hold you accountable. And so I'm liking the position that I'm in right now, because at the end of the day, understand the importance of our community having the knowledge.
Yes.
And understanding how to navigate government, because it can be very intimidating. But once you figure it out, you're going to want to be at every county commission meeting. You're going to want to be at every budget hearing. You're going to want to go up to Tallahassee, and just hold them accountable and just be like, you're going to listen to me. I'm going to take over your office. You're not going to be afraid to shut shit down.
Why we ain't never had no conversation, man? Why?
Let me know. I've been doing. I did a bunch of trainings. This year. With some organizations.
When I found out, I got jealous. When I seen the post, I got jealous. I say, friend, my friend ain't tell me nothing. I'm over here struggling.
I got like 10 hats that I'm wearing. I'm trying to learn how to take things off my plate. So,
I was friend, where you been, man? I need my dog. Come help me out with Peace in the Hood. Let's go.
So anybody who want to learn about government, I'm here. Whether it's local, state, federal. I just want to get you to understand the process so you stop being afraid of it.
Exactly.
Do you think we have to go younger with education because these old people they let me down? I'm tired of y'all ass. So if we raise the kids with knowing the process and, like you said, knowing, like once you learn it, you're like, I can't not participate in it. So maybe I think that's part of the issue too, that a lot of us are ignorant. I saw. Unfortunately, it was an Instagram post. Somebody made a joke about not voting for anything else on the ballot but Gillum because they didn't understand the amendments. They didn't take the cheat sheet. They're like, fuck it, I don't know what this is. I'm only voting for Gillum. And I think that happened a lot. So that's when you said some of those amendments
like
passed.
My homeboy was like, fuck
I think
the
they
judge.
just didn't vote.
Yeah.
But my homeboy it was like, fuck the judges. I don't like none of them. I don't like the justice system. We just gonna vote no, like vote yes to get them all up out of there. And I'm like,
it's funny you mention that because it was like almost like a 2 million vote difference.
Yeah,
between the governor's race
and the amendment.
So a lot of that was going on. Of folks just, I'm here to vote for Gillum and I'm out. And this is where I remember doing these trainings, and unfortunately, they were in rooms of like 15, 20, 25 people.
They preaching to the choir.
Who were just there trying to get the information. Yeah. But I'm sitting there just like, don't skip a thing. And if it confuses you, vote no. Like, I don't understand how you confused by something and be like, it's got to be good then. Like, who does that?
I literally cut that clip.
Who does
I
that,
told
bro?
you earlier, we had 11 sound bites from you from that time we sat at the Panera Bread. I literally cut that one and said, bubble that thing dark. and no. Like, I specifically made sure I put that in there.
I'm trying to figure out when you step in the voting booth, you looking at, you got that squinched up face, he's there like, that thing look confusing. All right. I'm gonna roll with that. And what kills me is at no other point in your life is that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you on Facebook, before you like a post, you know what I'm saying? That's like basically walking in, the post just say Obama. At the beginning, you just like that. I bet that's gonna be a positive post.
Like,
it doesn't say Obama's a mother. You ain't know that inward. You know what I'm saying? But you
just read the headline and like it.
Like basically, all of them started with the same word. The. Well, hey, that's it.
But let's be real. That
They put
shit is
the
hard
there.
to read. And so
It is, and they do that on purpose.
But this is my thing. It's like when something's hard to.
When you don't understand it, why would you go in that direction?
In algebra, the first time you took it,
It was hard as shit.
did you all of a sudden say, you know what? I'm just going, true false. I'm just going to go true. That X and X looks equal
Both
to Y
style
to me.
we
I
put
don't,
false.
and that's all I'm saying. Like for my folks out there, like, so you got folks that went in there, like at some point you understand that I'm a only Bubble Gillum.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to figure out the folks who went in there and just looked at all 13 amendments and just like, one, I don't trust it. It's number one. The rest of them, no? Yes. Yes, the number two, I
think it was a lot of tricky.
I like the number two.
I think it was a lot of tricky
they're
shit
really
in there.
doing that. People was like Christmas trees,
it was
look like a
looking at that
Scantron.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, those numbers all together could equal your lottery number. So maybe they were just like, one never come out, but every that combination from 2 to 13 always runs. So,
man, people was in there lost as fuck, and
what kills me is like, no joke. Of all the amendments, Amendment 4 was the closest of the ones that won. There might have been one that was even closer, but I'm talking about like dogs got 78%.
Dog.
Oh, people were saying they were voting for that because
we knew dogs
because
was going
of
to
the
crush
dogs.
it. I knew drilling was going to crush it. I get that. We got a lot of folks out there who pulling for that. How do we? They just basically told Miami-Dade County, you gotta elect a sheriff.
Yeah.
No election for you.
Yeah.
And guess what that means? That means somebody who ain't never been on the police force.
Yep.
About to be your new sheriff. Now, for folks who clearly couldn't vote for Gillum,
Yeah.
how may I explain to you what it would be like to have a sheriff that's like the governor?
Yep.
A sheriff that's basically say they don't like black people.
Yep.
Because that's what potentially could happen.
Could happen,
somebody
given
who's a
that he's
complete
going to
racist.
be appointed by such people.
I'm talking about.
I
Get
mean, we
ready.
already see the makeup of the county commission.
Get ready.
And
you
so
know,
it's like Miami-Dade have a tendency, because we're nonpartisan. God, I wish we were partisan, because I'm like, maybe we wouldn't be in a lot of the mess that we're in right now.
it's gonna be a dude. I can tell you right now. The atypical candidate that's gonna run for sheriff. It's gonna be a dude,
Cuban.
Cuban American,
Yeah.
who's gonna say I'm tough on crime.
Yep.
That I'm trying to get these
Niggas.
mind you, a Latino Cuban American who will say we need to round up these immigrants, get them off the streets,
Yep.
and he's going to tell you all this as a county.
And y'all gonna elect him.
And people gonna vote for him.
And folks are going to be like, let's do it. We got to do it. And these are the kinds of consequences of politics. And I'm not trying to be doomsday. I'm saying
that's just the real reality.
That's the reality.
We
because
see it time and time
people
again.
run for county commission and say that.
Let's just be real. Like Rick Scott, biggest medical fraud in history. Not in Florida history, like history, U.S. history. And then he had the nerve to run for the Senate. Like what the? Like no, you
blaming Nelson. But here's the kicker, right? So the whole time Ron DeSantis talking about defraud, Medicare this and TRICARE, he kept mentioning the word TRICARE. Do you understand what TRICARE is? For the listeners, TRICARE is the military health insurance.
Yeah.
Rick Scott, what he defrauded was the military. Like, people don't even talk about that. Everyone's like, oh, biggest Medicare fraud and this and that third. No. He defrauded the veterans.
Yeah.
Right? Defrauded veterans, but they had the audacity to put the Navy hat on all the time.
And I seen an ad run about that.
But here's the even worse thing. DeSantis ran on the fact that TRICARE got defrauded and never once said, but
Rick Scott
here's the dude who,
Rick Scott did
instead they're both, one's going to be in Congress, one's going to be in Tallahassee.
Oh my
and
God.
I'm just sitting there just like, so for the veterans out there.
Two Republican states.
We talked about the religious folks, but for those veterans who always believe that Republicans are always going to be pro-military.
Yeah.
Now you have a senator who's tried to snatch your insurance. And another Marine who about to snatch the insurance of the veterans in the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine about 60% of them went straight ticket Republican.
Yeah.
Because somehow, some way, the military believes
that
Republicans gonna look out for them.
Remember, America is not a democracy; it's a republic. That's why we vote Republican.
My God.
That's the ignorance they be on, man.
Can y'all just leave us with some parting words of wisdom and positivity as we wrap up the show. I appreciate y'all coming on and dropping knowledge for our listeners.
We definitely for the next year gonna have y'all, periodically come on and educate.
My man Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, speaking of youth, said we got 3 things we got to do: organize, and organize, man. And I know people are sitting there like, that's daunting and this, that, and the third, but it's like the people I really want to organize, the people I really want to talk to are those who didn't vote or went the other way. Like, we need to know what it is that we got to do to build that bridge.
Yeah.
Like I need to, convince you of my humanity because you're letting other things dominate the conversation. So I'm looking to hear from y'all. NewFloridaMajority.org. Please come through. Please.
Pretty please.
I'm like, I don't even know what to say because at this point I'm just baffled by the results and just really trying to grasp and understand, like, how did we get to this point when everybody left everything on the table and made sure that we turned out our people, made sure that we did the work, didn't sleep to get to this point. And so it's like, again, like, what is it that we have to do? What are the conversations that we're not having? Who are the people that we're not engaging? Because I know traditionally our Black communities are always left out of the conversation. We're always an afterthought. And so there's many organizations that don't prioritize these votes until the very end, when they start noticing that, oh crap, shit about to hit the fan. We never went to these communities. We never knocked on their doors. And now we're surprised when they either don't vote or when they vote the complete opposite way. So it's a combination of a lot of things, of like, what does organizing actually look like in our communities, and who is actually doing the organizing, and are these organizations actually developing leadership in those communities, and are we off cycles, you know, like, how are we always engaging? The elections never stop.
Exactly.
And I'm like, the thing about it is that in Florida, we never have an off year. I always have to remind people of this, especially like me that do local government work. We have so many elections in 2019. Elections start in February. I think in January you start having elections, and I'm like, it don't stop. So why do you all disengage? And so it's like, how do you continue to engage in the process and know that the work never ends? It's like, after every election cycle, we know that the work has to continue, and it's like, now it's, you switch the mode to accountability. It's like, what are they now going to be doing? We need to be watching you because you made these promises and we're going to hold you accountable, or you made these threats, you know, like DeSantis, around all of the horrible things that he said, and it's like, how do we make sure those things don't happen? So November 20th, it's organizational session in Tallahassee. People are going to be getting sworn in, and then in January it's going to be the inauguration. So who's going to show up in Tallahassee? Are we going to be there, or are we just going to let the other side take over the Capitol?
Yeah.
We got work to do.
But yeah, I appreciate you for giving us that insight, because that's exactly, you know, where I was hitting at. You know, a lot of times the election is over.
Everybody disappears like
everybody disappears. The money's gone, you know, and we don't have no reason other than, you know,
we only think in the moment. We're not forward thinking. And the thing about it is that historically we have seen, whenever we're fighting this disaster over here, the Republicans are already 10 steps ahead looking for the next mess to create. And so it's like, how do we continue to build and think forward in our communities of like, what is the future going to look like? What is the future that we want, and how are we putting the things in place to build them? We don't really think about that. We're just we're reactionary. We're not proactive. We don't think about what is it that we need to do in the future. We're like, oh my God, there's a fire over here. We need to put this out. But we don't think that there's some people who can put this out, but there's some of us that need to be thinking about what's going to happen in the future. Because again, those amendments, and I said this on Haitian radio until I started losing my voice, that super majority around the increase in the taxes, our education, we're going to start losing dollars. That casino money, me and Dwight were having that conversation around the Seminole Compact and the amount of money that they had to feed into the state every time they wanted to expand those casinos. And they don't have a plan on how we're going to make up that $400 million, $500 million that we're going to be losing, because now that gambling expansion has passed, the Seminoles is going to be like, this compact is no longer valid. We don't have to pay you every time we want to expand. So where the money is going to come from? We only have sales tax. We don't have state tax. Where's the money going to come from whenever we need public hospitals, Jackson Memorial? That's what's funding, you know, like our education. And so it's like, we don't think about the consequences of our actions, and we got to learn how to do that better in our communities, and know that the person on the pulpit doesn't necessarily always have your best interest.
Jesus was a carpenter,
or
not a politician.
These artists and these rappers. You know, it's like, unfortunately in our community, and not just in our community, in many communities, especially when they know we're ignorant, a lot of it's pay for play. So you need to be careful on who you listen to.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. This is why I love Fran.
Thank you.
Fran be spitting them bars. It's my dog.
Man.
Oh gosh.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
this was
you
a
for
good
having
show.
me.
I've learned a lot. I feel like I got the strength that I need to make it through the night. How can the people find you on social media?
Machiavelli_Munch, all like Minds Media. I'm not gonna spell it. Listen to all the episodes and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, right now. Fran, how can the people find you on social media?
They can find me Francesca Menes. I don't create any, crazy names of mine. So my name is my name on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find me.
Awesome.
What about you, Janae?
You could follow my blog, Hilo News, HYLONEWS, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And that's all we're going to get tonight.
She's like, I'm done.
Yeah, man. You know.
Good night, y'all.
So we got more shit to do. That means it's like Nipsey Hussle say, man, this shit is not a sprint. It's a fucking marathon. Let's get ready. Like Fran said, November, really. November the 20th.
It normally looks like a ghost town up there, so people need to come up there and take it over.
So y'all saying I need to pull up. Okay, all right, we got you.
Yes.
Pull up on the 20th. That's a couple more weeks, so yeah, man, let's do it, man. Let's try to make something happen. But good night, man.
Good night.
Good night.